You are watching Platinum Northwest TV News. Good evening and thank you so much for tuning in. I'm Philadelphia Mangoeng. Let's take a quick look at the news making headlines. First up, the Northwest Province kickstart the 2025 NSC finals, and bail hearing has been postponed for defendant in child sexual assault case. In the business news, we take a look at Eskom's multi-billion rand financial misstatement, and in the sports news, Kaizer Chiefs return to domestic action amid injury woes and familiar faces. We begin here. Today is the commencement of the 2025 National Senior Certificate Examinations, and the Northwest Department of Education has confirmed that it is fully prepared to administer the year-end examinations across the province. The department has finalized all processes related to the printing and secure handling of examination materials in line with the national standards, and the training of all examination officials concluded last Monday. Now, Pastor Bakwela urged the community to collaborate in ensuring the smooth conduct of the matric exams.
We wish to urge communities to allow learners the opportunity to write their final exams in a peaceful and a conducive environment. We appeal for suspension of disruptive protests, or alternatively, their planning must consider that disruption of schooling and public transport system will adversely affect learners who are on the verge of achieving a qualification that will open opportunities for them. The sacrifices and extra effort that matriculants have had to put as part of preparing for the exams throughout the year must be safeguarded so that they can achieve the objective to pursue their dreams. We commend the Department of Education's Last Push program aimed at preparing learners for their final exams and dissuade learners from cheating. Such unethical and immoral conduct will result in dire consequences for those who are caught and defer their dreams. The matric exam pledge for ethical behavior and honesty must be upheld by all candidates.
One learner from Tutopele Secondary School shared her journey. Let's take a look.
I'm a grade 12 learner go to Tutopele Secondary School. Nkarata ho shara le lena latela ke bile le lana se matriculing. Ke simolile ka ho leboha Modimo ka sireletso le tataiso ya hae since day 1 till now. Ke leboha motsadi wa me ka o nrutletsa lo ntsela matsapa hore ke fihle mo ke fihlileng. Ke sa lebala barutabana ba me ka o lemosa diphoso le encouragement ba mfileng yana throughout the year. Ke leboha hape le dikempe tseo di re kopantseng le barutabana ba ba farologaneng hore ba re kgone tlhaloganya ho fetisisa. Ke lemohile fa re setse ka malatsi a mmalwa hore re simolola our final examinations. Ke ikemiseditse ho dira ka natla hore ke falola ka dinalete ke kgone go tsweletsa dithuto tsa me pele hore ke kgone go ithutela go nna pilot. Ka leboha.
In other news, please note that the following story contains strong language and opinions that may be considered provocative and controversial. The views expressed in the story does not necessarily reflect those of the publication nor its affiliates, and viewer discretion is advised. The ongoing court case at the Orkney Magistrates Court involving a 47-year-old man accused of sexual assault against his two minor daughters aged 11 and 5 has been postponed to the 3rd of November to facilitate further investigations. Furthermore, the accused has provided an alternative address which requires verification before the formal bail application can be resumed. This matter was postponed for several weeks initially due to the bail application, followed by the accused's request for medical attention, which was delayed. Now, the issue of the postponement was raised in court, during which the magistrates directly inquired of the police officers present. Now, the officers appeared unaware of the situation but assured the magistrates that the accused would receive medical attention promptly. Today, the proceedings involved additional investigation and the verification of alternative address provided by the accused. The postponement was perceived as disheartening as it continued to the perception of delayed justice. In other news, the Premier of Northwest Province, Lazarus Mokgotsi, met with the Auditor General of South Africa, Tsakani Maluleke, at the Rio Hotel in Klerksdorp yesterday. The meeting was also attended by the Speaker of the Northwest Provincial Legislature, Desbo Mohono, the Deputy Speaker, Colin Maine, and the Chair of Chairs, Tebogo Modise. The discussion centered on the audit results for the 2024-2025 period. Now, the Premier outlined the purpose of the meeting during an interview with the AG, providing an overview of the responsibilities. Let's take a look.
Re kopane fa mo Matlosana, really Office of the Premier, Renale Office of the Speaker from the Legislature. We also invited the Office of the Chief Whip of the Legislature. We call it a Troika. But also we extended the invitation to the Chairperson of SCOPA in the province. We also invited the Chair of Chairs of the Legislature. The purpose today was to have an interactive session with the Auditor General, and they were represented by Mema Lulek. And we had a very fruitful meeting. She took us through their observation of the audit outcomes, and in particular 24-25. And the report showed that in certain instances we've got stagnation of departments. In certain instances we've got where there is areas of emphasis. In certain instances there is slight movement of progress, but in certain instances there is regression. And we have also then agreed that the general approach of Auditor General and us as department must not be general application of mitigation efforts, must be specific, must be focused to a particular municipality or a provincial department. But the meeting really was very fruitful, because key important part is who are the key role players in the audit outcomes ecosystem. The area of accountability, the area of good governance, control measures, the area of public confidence, ethics came into the picture in our discussion. And at the end of the day, we agreed that for purpose of the people of the Northwest, it's important that consequence management must be at the center. But focus also was on irregular materials that are being identified, because irregular materials that are being identified, we must probably at the point agree on, much as we have identified them, what are we doing to deal with them, and what are the consequences as a result of this action. People must take responsibility of their action. So far, so good.
Our work today was to engage with the Honourable Premier and his executive, together with the Honourable Speaker, as well as the Deputy Speaker and members of the Legislature, to really give them a picture of how the outcomes look for the province. And this is now for PFMA. What we're seeing is that there is some limited progress. There's enough attention to the good things that need attention now, so that is encouraging. However, the outcomes for 2025 unfortunately showed a regression. We've communicated to the legislature as well as to the executive and the administration led by the DG the importance of them implementing the commitments that they've made, continuing to work on their respective roles and mandates in a way that's not just effective individually, but it is a collective effort that's dealt with collaboratively. It's going to be crucial for the province to drive disciplined execution of its plans, to ensure that there is a renewed posture of ethical governance, that there is effective consequence management when things go wrong, so that we can start to push back on a culture of impunity. Our hope, and in fact, our belief is that if the Speaker, the Premier, and the DG and the other HODs implement the commitments that they've made, we will start to see a better picture around governance, financial management, performance management, and ultimately service delivery.
In more news, the Northwest Department of Economic Development, Environment, Conservation and Tourism confirmed reports circulating on social media regarding a lion escaping from a trailer yesterday of the R49 between Lichtenburg and Zeerust. Now, the lion was being transported from the Free State province. The department has verified that the lion has been successfully captured and no longer poses a threat to the community or road users, and is currently investigating the circumstances surrounding the incident. Preliminary investigations suggest that there may be an infringement on the conditions of the transport permit. The full investigation will assess whether the owner complied with all relevant legislation, including those indicated in the South African national standards which govern the transportation, handling and welfare of carnivores.
The Department of Economic Development, Environment, Conservation and Tourism in the Northwest Province hereby confirms that a lion that escaped from a moving truck between the Lichtenberg and Zurast Road has been captured, and follow-up investigations are ongoing to determine what might have caused such an incident.
And on to this now. In recognition of Breast Cancer Awareness Month, the Saving Lives Institute is among the numerous institutions and organizations actively engaged in conducting awareness initiatives. Headquartered in Lebotlwane within the Moretele local municipality, the organization is committed to educating and empowering the community regarding breast cancer, as well as facilitating access to appropriate medical treatment for affected individuals. Given the disease can also afflict men, the Saving Lives Institute strongly urges all members of the public to exercise caution and undertake preventative measures. Here's Dimakatso Genkwe with more details.
Motlhami wa mokgatlo ono Mothupi Malebe o boleletse Platinum Northwest TV ka ga botlhokwa ba gore banna le basadi ba dire diteko tsa kankere ya letsele le go netefatsa fa banna ba itekanetse e le go thibela kgonagalo ya go tsenwa ke bolwetse bono jo bo tsweletseng go latola matshelo a diketekete tsa batho lefatshe lotlhe. Malebe yo a reng o tlhamile mokgatlo ono morago ga go latlhegelwa ke masika le ditsala ka ntlha ya kankere, o gateletse botlhokwa ba go tsaya kalafi ka tshwanno gonne bolwetse bono bo alafega.
Foundation ke mokgatlo o seng wa puso o tsweletseng go ka sedimosetsa baagi ka ntlha ya cancer. Jaaka kgwedi e re leng mo go yona e le ya breast cancer, mokgatlo o tsweletse go rotloetsa baagi gore ba leke go itlhatlhoba le go i-check-a mo ditleliniking tse farologaneng go ralala kgaolo. Mme ba dira jalo ba apere di-t-shirt tsa bona tse pinki tse e leng gore laboraro mongwe le mongwe e nna mo e leng gore ba kopana le baagi le go kopana le bona ka bo bona. Ene ya re go sa le gale mo fa kgwedi e simolola, mokgatlo o bo o tsweletse pele ka go ka ranolla kgotsa go launcha letsholo le la Cancer Foundation kgotsa yona Cancer Awareness. Mme mokgatlo o rotloetsa thata baagi ka gore jaaka ke le motlhami wa Saving Lives Institute, ke dirile jalo morago ga gore ke latlhegelwe ke batho ba le bane mo losikeng go akaretsa le ditsala tsa me. Mme seo sa rotloetsa gore re leke go leka thata go ka i-check-a gore ga bolwetse bo fitlhele le gore rona re ready ka bona, ka gore ga setse bo le mo bo level 4 kgotsa stage 4 e nna matlhotlhapelo. Mme re rotloetsa gape baagi gore cancer is not a death sentence, ke fela gore re i-check-e nako santse e le teng. Ke a leboga.
Re sa le foo, mosadi yo fentseng bolwetse ba kankere ya letsele Mita Makhunga yo dingwaga di le 51 wa kwa lefelong la baipei la Orange Farm kwa Hartbeespoort Dam gaufi le Brits mo Northwest a re botshelo ba gagwe bo ne ba fetoga a sa solofela ka 2012 morago dingaka di sena go mmolelela gore o na le kankere ya letsele fela e santse e le mo go stage 1. A re o ne a gapeletsega go dira karo ya go kgaola letsele, mme o tlhalosetse jaana.
Northwest. Ke diagnosed ka breast cancer ka 2011, ke na le 39 years of age. No, ke na le 51 years. Cancer ya fola, ga re itlhokomela. Ke tsere treatment ya ka ko George Mokhari, mme ka ntsha letswele la ka la right ko Dr. George Mokhari. Ka tseya le chemotherapy for 6 months. E ileng ya change letlalo la ka, mme ke ne ke tlhatsa, ke saje, ke berekiwa ke mala. Ke ithutile go gontsi go tswa mo bolwetseng bo gore bolwetse ba cancer ba fola. Nka rata ge puso e ka re thusa ya re fa psychological treatment e leng gore e tla re thusa gore re ska nna le stigma sa gore cancer ya bolaya, because of batho ba bantši ga ba kgone go ikamogela gore ba kgone go phela le bolwetse ba cancer. Bolwetse ba cancer ba fola ga re itlhokomela. Ke a leboga, ke rata go leboga le family ya ka e kileng ya mpha support-o gore ke kgone go fenya bolwetse bo go ne go se bonolo mo go bona gore ke tla fenya empa ke leboga modimo o ikileng a re fa maatla a ba fa maatla le gore ba nthege ke kgone go fenya bolwetse bo. There is life after cancer. Ke a leboga.
Kgabagare go ya ka mokgatlho wa lefatshe wa boitekanelo WHO ka ngwaga wa 2022 basadi ba le dimilione di le 2 ba ne ba netefaletswa fa ba tsenwe ke kankere ya letsele mme fa ba feta 667 ba tlhokafetse ka ntlha ya bolwetse bono. WHO ya re seelo sa batho ba ba fentseng bolwetse ba kankere mo dingwageng di le 5 tse di fetileng se oketsegile ka diperesente di le 90 kwa dinageng tse di nang le letseno le le kwa godimo fa mono Aforika Borwa seelo se wetse tlase go nna diperesente di le 40 fa kwa India diperesente tseo di balelwa go 66. Mokgatlho o ka ya fa kwelotlase eo e le ka ntlha ya go sa fitlhelelweng ga bolwetse bo ka nako le go sa fitlheleleng kalafi. Dimakatso Genkwe, Platinum Northwest TV, Brits.
In more news, the taxi organization CODETA in the Western Cape has publicly clarified its stance regarding recent incidents of violence within the taxi industry. The violence resulted in the death of a rival taxi operator on the R300 near Delft on the Cape Flats. CODETA stated that while it condemns the murder of the taxi owner affiliated with rival association CODETA, it does not believe the incident is related to root conflicts in the Somerset West region. The incident took place on the first day of the reopening of the multiple taxi routes in the Somerset West area. On Monday, a 32-year-old taxi industry professional was fatally shot and wounded on the R300 highway while traveling with his security detail. Now, during the attack, both of his bodyguards sustained injuries and were transported to a medical facility for treatment. In September, Western Cape Mobility MEC Isaac Sileku announced a 30-day suspension of taxi operating services between Khayelitsha, Mfuleni and Somerset West. Now, the decision was made in response to recent violent incident associated with a dispute between CODETA and CODETA regarding these routes. Moving on to international news now, Japan got its first woman prime minister after Sanae Takaichi, a China hawk and social conservative, forged an 11th-hour coalition deal. Japan's fifth premier in his many years, is a self-confessed admirer of Margaret Thatcher. She will formally take office after meeting Emperor Naruhito. Now, the 46-year-old bowed several times after winning an overall majority from fellow lawmakers in the lower house of parliament. Takaichi won a clear majority on Tuesday with 237 votes in the powerful lower house and another 125 in the upper house as leader of the ruling Liberal Democratic Party.
Takaichi Sanae 君を衆議院規則第18条第2項により本院において内閣総理大臣に指名することに決まりました。
And with that, let's take a look now at the business news. In the business news, Eskom's financial statements received a qualified audit opinion relating to 16.3 billion rand that Eskom reported as savings from turnaround strategies. Eskom's financial statements were independently audited by Deloitte & Touche for the 2025 financial year, receiving a qualified audit, which means that they contain material misstatement. Now, Deloitte & Touche stated that 2.9 billion rand, which was reported as savings from 10 specific initiatives, was overstated based on the supporting audit evidence that reflected the actual results. Let's listen in.
Eskom also overstated 3.4 billion of savings, which was related to 7 other initiatives due to management applying inappropriate estimates and judgments. Eskom further reported 1.4 billion of savings related to contract negotiations, once-off purchase orders, and standard rate contracts. Deloitte & Touche stated that it could not find sufficient audit evidence that the 1.4 billion savings occurred. Deloitte concluded that Eskom overstated its savings from turnaround initiatives by 6.3 billion. It could also not find evidence of a further 1.4 billion in savings. This means that Eskom potentially overstated its turnaround by savings by 7.7 billion, which is unbecoming of a top company. Due to these significant and material misstatements, Eskom did not receive a clean audit and its financials received an independent qualified audit opinion. Eskom said it received a qualified external audit opinion for its 2025 financial statements due to incomplete or inaccurately maintained records.
And that's all from the business news. Up next, we get the latest in the sports. In soccer news, Kaizer Chiefs are back on South African soil, having completed a challenging 3-day international trip to Lubumbashi, Democratic Republic of Congo. Now the Glamour Boys kick off their Total Energies CAF Confederation Cup campaign with a first leg clash against AS Simba on Saturday, and now turn their attention to a crucial Betway Premiership fixture. Amakhosi will resume their domestic duties facing Siwelele FC in a midweek encounter at the FNB Stadium on Wednesday evening. Chiefs currently sit 4th in the league table with 15 points from 8 matches, while Siwelele are 14th place with 7 points from 9 games. The Chiefs medical team is currently managing an injury list that includes Matlo, Chislet, Marco, Molefe, Msimango and Dortley. Now the extended absences of Msimango and Dortley present challenges for the team selection. On the other hand, Mabowe, Idiago and Shinga are approaching full medical recovery and match fitness, offering valuable options for the squad. The Chiefs coaching team is anticipating a competitive encounter and is preparing diligently for the challenge. Let's listen in. And moving on to cricket news now, although the Proteas men team began their all-format tour of Pakistan with a loss in the Test series opener in Lahore, their determined performance in the ongoing second Test demonstrate resilience and highlights potential opportunities for growth as well as improvement. Now, the touring team encountered an early setback, suffering 93 defeat in the first Test match. However, their resilience was evident in the second game. On day 2, South Africa's left-arm spinner Keshav Maharaj, making a strong return following an injury, led a notable recovery effort. His career best figure 7,402 played a key role in dismissing Pakistan for 333 in their first innings, preventing the host from establishing a significant lead. Maharaj's performance, supported by disciplined bowling from his teammates, demonstrated the Proteas' ability to adapt and apply sustained pressure against their opponents, even under challenging conditions. And that's where we're going to have to wrap it up for tonight. Thank you so much for watching. I'll be back again tomorrow evening. Till then, good night and take care.